Hello, buddy. Welcome back to the Tin Man's Core channel. I'm your host, Jeffrey Tin Man Taylor, and today I thought I'd get on here and tell you guys another story with some history from my town. And I'll be talking about a man that was known as the father of Roxboro. And that man is James Anderson Long. He was born May 23rd, 1841. And in this book called Percy County Past, basically he was known as the father of Roxboro because he built textile mills that will play an extended role in the economy of Percy County. He also brought the railroad through our town. He was born and raised on a farm and was the eldest child of Radcliffe J. and Mary Waters Long. And since he was the oldest, he had to leave home and serve during the Civil War. About 3 months before the end of the war, after serving in over 20 campaigns, Long was captured near Petersburg, Virginia, and placed in a Yankee prison. While in prison, he hollowed out buttons and covered them with the gold dollars he earned as a soldier, selling them as rings in order to buy bread. Which, that is just sad and heartbreaking to hear. But right off the bat, you could tell that he's already a businessman for making jewelry with the gold dollars that he earned just to buy him food. 10 weeks after the treaty was signed at Appomattox, Long was released and he made his way back to Percy County. And here's a picture of Long from what he looked like, a respectable mustachio businessman. But seriously, on July 3rd, 1865, he returned to find the family farm deeply in debt. His father died on June 20, and shortly thereafter, his grandfather, Reuben, passed away as well. He took on the responsibility of being provider of the family, and he went to go work over at this place that's no longer in Roxboro called Norwood Tobacco Factory and Store. And he earned 50 cents a day, but somehow he was able to get the family farm out of debt. I was like, 50 cents a day? That's barely making a living to compare to today's standards. And then 2 years after going to work, he became manager of the store. And then during that year, he married Mary Elizabeth Winstead, but they call her Betty. But her mother didn't like him for some odd reason. They were only allowed the two to go to church together. So him and Betty went on a Sunday morning to South Boston, Virginia, and got married there. The two worked together that eventually were able to own the Norwood store, changing it to J.A. Long and Company. And one of his sons, Robert Ecker, gave his father the inspiration to establish a school. Thus, Roxboro Male Academy was founded in 1840. Then he had a daughter, Margaret Pearl, that was born in 1874. Now, the Longs built a large chateau-esque home on Main Street in Roxboro, and during the 1870s and 80s, their hard work paid off. He accumulated property and wealth, all the while earning the respect of his peers and townsfolk. So that's basically like we all want today, try to accumulate wealth to provide for our families. You work hard, you'll get there. He was also a benefactor of Long's Chapel, which today is now Long Memorial United Methodist Church, and he would pay the tuition of some students who couldn't afford to attend the Roxboro Male Academy. And then he renamed his store to J.A. Long and Son after his oldest son was able to work there. He also ventured in other areas of businesses and managed several farms. So you know right there he was raking in a lot of dough. But tragedy struck when Betty died in 1882. Knowing she was terminally ill, she told her husband that she wanted him to marry her best friend, Laura Thompson of Leesburg. A year after she died, Laura and J.A. Long met and got married. And then had 2 children with her, James Anderson Long Jr. and Matt Ransom Long, who was named after a Civil War soldier. These 2 sons would join the family business when they were old enough. They also became entrepreneurs in their own right as well. Well, that's good to know. Continue the family legacy that way. In 1895, J.A. decided to build Laura a home of her own, a short distance down Main Street from the home he and Betty had built. Today, the Roxboro Savings Bank sits on the former site of that second Long home. The first one still stands today, and it was renovated, which I'll show you a picture about right now, actually. Okay, this is the chateau-style home that James had built for him and his second wife, Laura. And it's still up today, like I said in the book. It just got renovated in the early 2000s, like around 2005 and 8. Let me show you a picture of what it looks like now. Contractors put a different color siding on the house and different color cones, but as a matter of fact, at the time of me filming this video, I saw it had a for sale sign. So if you love history and want to live in Main Street of Roxboro, you should go by there and see how much they want for it. Because truth be told, that ain't a bad looking house. I actually like the architect design of it. And then during the 1870s, J.A. Long began his fight to bring railroad to Mercer County. And this was finally accomplished in 1890 when the Lynchburg and Durham line came through Roxboro, joining the town and county to markets both to north and south. And he also worked toward accumulating the capital to bring the first cotton mill to Roxboro. The Duke and Watts families in Durham, as well as Roxboro merchants, invested heavily in this venture, and a corporation was formed in 1899. Now today, the first Roxboro mill is now a charter middle and high school, Roxboro Community School. The second mill that was in our town was built in 1909, which is in a community known as Longhorse. But that building is still standing today. You can actually still see the cotton mill logo on the side of the building still. But it houses the automotive parts company called Strut Masters, which I still think they are using it today, but they got a second location as well. Okay, this is what the first mill looked like, but now it's converted to the Roxboro Community School. I couldn't find a good picture of the second one, so I'm just going to continue on here. And then during the heyday of the mills in operation, J. Long built mill villages that still stand today. And his employees lived in the villages and bought the foods they didn't grow and other necessities at the company store. And I actually been around in several of these places when me and my folks ride through there, but it just seems weird going through there when all this stuff is not in operation anymore. And believe it or not, there's actually a time card over at the Mercer County Museum of History that showed that a worker earned 30 cents an hour in 1939, taking home $2.50 for 33 hours of work after rent, tax, and his debt to the company store was paid. It was seeming like he barely had anything left. But then J.A. Long died after a period of decline in health on April 12, 1915 of pneumonia, and he was 73 years old, and they nicknamed him D-E-E. For years, those who remembered him said that he helped countless people in need, from extending credit to making outright gifts and grants for education. So right there, that tells me he was an astounding gentleman that cared for his community. But anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed this history about James Anderson Long, the father of Roxboro. I could have gone into more detail about what else he did, but it would have been way too long of a video. So if you're in Roxboro, look him up in the museum over here, or go to the library and research. This has been another successful installment of the Tin Man Score channel. I'm your host, Jeffrey Tin Man Taylor, and that's a wrap, and have a nice day, y'all.